Let me out. Let me out of here. Get me the hell out of here. Jesus Christ, get me!
You know the line. You know the lightning. You know the monster. But do you know the madness behind the making of one of the greatest comedy horror films of all time?
Certainly. You take the blonde and I'll take the one in the turban.
In 1974, Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder gave us Young Frankenstein, a hilarious black and white love letter to classic horror. But behind the laughs, there are stories that are far stranger than fiction. From vintage lab equipment pulled from the archives of early cinema to brilliant improvisations that changed movie history, Young Frankenstein was a chaotic, beautiful mess behind the scenes. And somehow out of all that chaos came a masterpiece. So grab your torch, don your best cloak, and prepare for a jolt of cinematic trivia. These are the top 10 strange but true facts about Young Frankenstein.
Let me smell your breath.
The lab equipment was actually from the 1931 Frankenstein. That buzzing, sparking, electrifying lab? It's not just movie magic. Mel Brooks tracked down Kenneth Strickfaden, the man who built the original equipment used in the 1931 Frankenstein. Incredibly, the machines still worked. They had been sitting untouched in Strickfaden's garage for decades. Instead of building replicas, Brooks asked to use the originals. Strickfaden was thrilled to contribute, and the moment the lab machines lit up on set, the entire crew stood in awe. This wasn't just a film set anymore. It was a resurrection of cinema history. You can actually see the same coils, arcs, and spark generators that terrified audiences in 1931 now used for laughs in 1974. That blend of history and parody? Totally intentional. Marty Feldman's hump changed sides, and no one noticed. You probably remember the line, "What hump?" It's one of the funniest moments in the film. But did you ever notice where the hump was exactly? Turns out even the crew didn't. Marty Feldman, a comic genius, decided to play a prank. Every few days, he had the makeup team switch his hump to the other side. He never told anyone, not Gene Wilder, not Mel Brooks. And no one caught it. When Brooks noticed in post-production, he laughed so hard he made sure the edits emphasized it. That moment where Feldman glances directly into the camera? That was Marty breaking the fourth wall, knowing exactly what he was doing. It wasn't just a funny bit. It became a part of film history, showing how spontaneous comedy can become canon. Gene Wilder. Almost quit. Over one joke. Creative partnerships can be magical and intense. Wilder co-wrote the script with Brooks, and they mostly agreed. But there was one gag involving a talking frog that Wilder absolutely hated. He thought it undercut the elegance of the parody. According to him, it turned the tone into a cartoon. He told Brooks, "If that joke stays in, I'm leaving." No shouting, just pure conviction. Mel Brooks, to his credit, backed down immediately. The joke was gone by the next morning, and that single decision reinforced their bond. The final script walks a tightrope, funny but never dumb, and that balance? It came from moments like this. The studio wanted it in color. Brooks refused. The 1970s were a colorful time in cinema. Bright lights, neon, and full Technicolor. So when Mel Brooks said he wanted to make a black and white movie, the studio panicked. They feared audiences wouldn't get it. They offered incentives, even demanded test footage. Brooks refused. He wanted Young Frankenstein to feel like it came from the same world as Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein. It wasn't just a gimmick, it was essential. The cinematographer Gerald Hirschfeld used vintage lenses and lighting techniques to recreate the classic horror look. And it worked. The aesthetic isn't just nostalgic, it's timeless. Terry Garr's accent was made up on the spot. Auditions are stressful. Terry Garr got the call last minute. She didn't know much about the role, only that it was a German assistant in a Frankenstein parody. So she took a risk. She showed up and gave the most exaggerated German accent she could muster. It was silly, bold, and totally unforgettable. Mel Brooks couldn't stop laughing. He cast her immediately. And that accent? It became part of her character's charm. Her line, "Roll in the hay?" Total improv. Sometimes the best ideas come from desperation. Peter Boyle's makeup was brutal. Peter Boyle brought the monster to life, but not without sacrifice. His prosthetic makeup took over 4 hours every morning. The headpiece was heavy, hot, and glued directly to his scalp. The glue caused real irritation. Boyle endured rashes, blisters, and overheating. And yet he delivered a performance filled with emotion, precision, and timing. He couldn't see clearly, couldn't move easily, and couldn't talk in most scenes. And still, he stole the show. The physical toll? Immense. The result? Iconic. The castle was real and free. The majestic castle in Young Frankenstein was not a model, not a set, not CGI. It was Neuschwanstein Castle in Bavaria, Germany. Built in the 1800s, it's one of the most photographed castles in the world. Brooks obtained stock footage rights instead of flying the cast there. The result? A grand opening that cost almost nothing. It's a clever example of using existing footage to enhance production value, and most audiences never knew. Gene Hackman begged for a role and then disappeared. Gene Hackman had just won an Oscar for The French Connection, but he wanted to try comedy. He called Mel Brooks personally and asked for a role. Brooks gave him The Blind Hermit. Hackman trained with slapstick coaches, learned soup-spilling techniques, and committed fully. Then he vanished. He didn't attend the premiere. He didn't tell friends he was in the movie. Years later, people rewatched the film and said, "Wait, was that Gene Hackman?" And yes, it was. The putting on the Ritz scene almost got cut. It's the most absurd, most iconic moment in the film. Frankenstein's monster in full tuxedo, singing and tap dancing to Irving Berlin's "Puttin' on the Ritz." The studio hated it, said it didn't fit, said it made no sense. Gene Wilder fought hard. He believed it was the movie's soul, the point where horror and absurdity collide. Mel Brooks trusted him. The rest is comedy gold. Mel Brooks took no director credit. Mel Brooks is known for being bold, loud, and all over his films. But in Young Frankenstein, he pulled back. He removed his name from the opening credits as director. Why? Because he didn't want audiences to expect blazing saddles or Spaceballs. He wanted them to experience this film without preconceived notions. That restraint? It paid off. Young Frankenstein became a classic because it stood on its own, with or without the name. Young Frankenstein isn't just a comedy. It's a love letter to the golden age of horror. From real lab machines to off-the-cuff brilliance, it celebrates everything weird and wonderful about making movies. Which fact blew your mind? Tell us in the comments. And if you love stories like this, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more real truths. See you next time, where the truth is always stranger than the script.